with Inspire Me 360, and in this video I want to talk about the energy of love, and specifically the energy of unrequited love, and what the context of this experience can teach us about ourselves and really the energy of what love actually is. So I feel like all so often human beings get really tangled up essentially in this energy of the special couple relationship. And it can be kind of debasing, it can be ungrounding and unsettling when we get our emotions tangled up with another individual. And so why, when we go through heartbreak, or why when we go through this experience, is it so unsettling and ungrounding to us in terms of our whole entire consciousness and this sort of heartbreak energy that we experience? So first of all, when we put ourselves into this vulnerable state, when we say, I love you to somebody, and we open that door in terms of the understanding that we are giving to another human being, that we see them in a light that is very special, specifically to us, when we are magnetized towards another human being in this way. What often happens is that there is a certain tethering or a certain confusion where we want to essentially cage that individual or own that individual, or lock them down in a particular timeline. And it's important for us, especially if we feel this connectedness that is also ungrounding to us and unsettling, and really essentially bumping us off track, that we lean into this feeling. And what I mean by lean into this feeling is that we really pay attention to the fact that whatever it is that we are creating emotionally, whatever bonding that we are creating, is not taking that equilibrium and that balance that we need to maintain and shifting it into a place of loss of control. Because again, the true energy of love is very balanced. It is in control. It's not a chaotic, hectic, debasing energy. So the other thing to recognize is that when we identify things that we would deem as lovable, or that we love in another, that is a beautiful emanation of what we are able to generate. And so I think the most beautiful lesson that we can take from any situation, whether it be a heartbreak, whether it be, something that we have become attracted to or bonded to, and in that realization, in that cultivation of what springs forth from our own beingness, we can identify that we are generating that frequency, that we are generating that attraction, and see the beauty of what that is. Instead of worrying about what the other individual that we cannot control is or is not mirroring back to us, simply bring that energy that we are generating back to the self, back to the heart space, and realize that that energy of love is us. And there will be absolutely times in our lives where we will have that energetic reflection of that love that we are able to generate equally and honestly reflected back to us. And there are going to be periods in our life where what it is that we are generating is not reflected back to us, or is in some way rejected. But if we can put it into context that we are learning about the self, and it is not that the rejection is a reflection of something of unworthiness within us, but rather just a focal point for as a human being. And if we can turn our attention away from the external world, away from what we may or not be getting in terms of that energy back to us from the external world, and we focus that energy that we are generating on our own journey, and we meditate and essentially marinate in that own beautiful vibration that we are generating. Yes, it may be attached or bonded to an individual in the external world, and it may be that that individual catalyzed that energy or brought forth that energy out of us. And that is a beautiful aspect of what that individual was able to do in terms of opening our heart center. But it isn't always going to be mirrored back perfectly and in balance. And remembering that this is a journey, and part of that journey is an understanding of the self. And what all too often happens in terms of the human heart is that, it blossoms like a flower. It opens up towards things that it is catalyzed with in its external world. And when they don't show up exactly as we are expecting or within the scope of what we envisioned, then we shut our heart space off again. And we really don't do that work in terms of entering the inner corridor of the learning of the heart and the understanding of the energy of love. And so we become cold, or in that shutting off of the heart space, we move into an energy of being very closed off. And oftentimes when we're in this closed off energy, we miss a lot of beautiful opportunities. So it's my suggestion, if you've gone through a recent heartbreak, or if you've gone through something that felt like unrequited love, that you do a little bit of a deep dive within yourself and look at that beautiful energy that you were able to create when your heart space was open, when you were hopeful, when you were giving that energy to the world. And remember the sweetness of it, remember the beauty of that energy, and realize that it wasn't the other individual that was generating that energy. It was you that was generating that beautiful energy. And what this does is it calls your power back to you, and you realize that truly that energetic frequency of the happiness, the bliss, the whether it be, the thoughts of the fantasy or whatever it is, that you were generating that. And so if it was truly coming from you, then there is nothing on the external in terms of the field that is lacking at the current moment that prevents you from feeling that beautiful, blissful energy again. So how can we practice raising our vibration into this energy of love so that we can experience this blissful culmination of the energy of the heart and move it into every corridor of our beingness? Essentially, it's just tapping into that conscious experience that you have already created for yourself. And yes, in some cases, it was an external factor that allowed you, or essentially drew forth that energy from you. But if you can understand at a higher level that even though that external factor drew it out of you, it was still your own core emanation. And this is the fastest way to get over this brokenhearted energy and really start to radiate this very, very high vibrational, open-hearted, allowing the universe to bring into your vicinity what it is that you actually need. And remember, everything that you are seeking is also seeking you. And one of the most beautiful things that you also have to remember with this beautiful truth is that sometimes there are many things that have to come into alignment for you to experience the full spectrum of what it is that you have envisioned for your future. And sometimes you get pieces and parts of it that will show up in external individuals. But the universe is also always trying to create that complete picture for you. And it's doing this in a two-pronged approach. So not only is it trying to create the most beautiful out expression of your external world, but it is continually trying to teach you how to balance and augment the constitution of your internal world as well. So that energy that you are, and it's all about this ascension and this learning journey that we call life. And truly, that is the ascension process. It is that continual next rung of rising up within the energetic aspect of what you are as a soul towards that higher and higher attainment of the energy of the love and the light. Okay, I'm going to kind of wrap this video up, but hopefully this is helpful to anyone out there that is going through something right now where they're feeling like their heart is broken, or they're feeling like they are closed off, or they're not creating that magnetic dynamic relationship they wish to see in terms of their external world. Just know that all of the work that you are doing in every given moment is helping the field to align towards that destiny that you are truly worthy of, and that is also worthy of you. Okay, have a beautiful weekend, and wishing you all the love and light, oh my God, that one lifetime can allow. Hey guys, it's Barb with Inspire Me 360, and in this video I want to talk about creating and manifesting in the vibration or in the frequency of your soul's true purpose, and how to identify energetically what direction you're going into and if you're on the right track. So a lot of times when we embark upon our journey, whether this is to do with our career or, our hobbies, creating the life that we're eventually destined to lead, we will often be traveling down that path for the wrong reasons. And I think this is so important to bring up why so many times individuals fail. And it's truly because the focal point or the motivation behind what they are creating is not in alignment with their soul's true desires, with what they actually at the core of their being seek to manifest. And I know I have been through this. In my younger days, a lot of what I was creating from, or the energy of what I was creating for, was very 3D based. So I was focused on things like financial wealth, making sure that whatever I was doing had, a high potential for filling my bank account. And I really wasn't tapping into the true nature of who and what I was. And what happened in terms of the momentum for me in terms of my creation abilities was because I wasn't connected into my heart in terms of what I was creating. I basically didn't have the energy to go the distance to see everything that I was wanting to create come to its full potential. Because again, if we're only tapping into what we are creating from a very materialistic perspective, then there's not going to be a huge amount of heart energy that is backing the time investment that we're making. And it wasn't until I transferred all of my efforts into this heart-spaced momentum or this passion that truly came from a different place, a different point, or a point of view, that things became very easy. I was able to step into the flow of my own existence, my own life, because what I was doing, or what I'm doing now, is actually following that alignment of what my soul is calling for. It's that energy of being in service of others and creating systems and creating companies, and in terms of everything regarding the output of my energetic, I guess, resonance to what I'm creating is 100% in alignment. And what this alignment does, or because of this alignment, I am very, very naturally passionate about what I'm doing. I don't have to motivate myself. There's all of these different gurus that talk about, finding this way to motivate yourself in business or motivate yourself in life. But truly, when we're following this authentic path, which is that blueprint that our soul came here in and of the purpose that we meant to serve, it is energetically easy. You won't have to look for extra energy to do the things that you have to do to get you to that finish line, because the excitement due to the alignment of this purpose, it's just self-generating. You can't get enough. There's just so much momentum because it is so correlated to that deep desired place that is you. So this is really, I think, when they talk about the flow state, when they talk about getting into this actionable place within the quantum field, this is what they're really speaking about. And you really won't have to make any adjustments in your behavior, in your habits, because everything that you are, from the moment that you wake up till the end point of your day, will be so invested, and not just invested, but stimulated by what you are doing. And in and of that, because again, you have this momentum that is the natural authenticity of what you are, that is propelling and pushing you forward, you will naturally fall into those habitual patterns that you will need to magnetize the things, within the field towards you, but also to create this beautiful energy that is just self-sustaining within your own being. Your actual natural energy body, essentially, it's like turning on a light switch when you get in line with your heart space. And what happens when we really examine that inner world that we are, this beautiful, unique blueprint that we have all been given in this lifetime, and we really ask ourselves those deep questions about who we are and what we have come to do, and then, indiscriminate of what the answer is, relating it back to society, the three-dimensional world, the material world, having the courage to follow that path. Because a lot of times the answer that your soul will come back with may not trigger an instant convergence of, okay, I see how I'm going to also end up with all of the material things that I'm wanting. But here's the way that it works, and this is part of the journey that I've had the blessing to go through, is, again, when you are living your passion, when you are creating from this authentic vibration, that is the frequency that you are, things will line up that are so synergistic and so magical. And you will start to see how the universe is working with you and through you, because you are walking in your path of truth. And to, what part of the knowing, part of the understanding of when we are off track or, really not tapping into our own eternal truth, our own core frequency, is that there will be a lot of interference. There'll be a lot of heaviness around our energy. We won't be able to be motivated to be doing that thing that is out of alignment. And we will feel tired. We will feel dragged down. And the passion and the motivation, 100%, if you are not on that alignment with your core soul's path, will be lacking. And that is one of the most beautiful indicators that we have to make these adjustments, and we have to really start to do that internal questioning, that seeking. And whatever it is, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's helping others or helping the planet, whatever it is that you are here to do, make the world a more beautiful place, you have to tap into that. Because if you are doing and if you are creating solely to augment your bank account or, have a fancy car in the driveway, all of these superficial things that will not fill your soul, you won't be able to go the distance. There'll be a certain point where the bottom will fall out. And because it's not passion driving you, because it's attachment to material things that you feel are going to bring you value or status or something, again, that is outside yourself, trying to pad that egoic mind that, again, is in distortion, that is in confusion, you are essentially diverting yourself that much farther than the true authentic being that you are. So it really travels back to the message of finding happiness, of finding that thing which sets your soul on fire, and maintaining that dream. And for me, my particular path, a lot of what I used to dream about when I was a kid, and the fantastic ways that I wanted to see my life play out, are a lot of what I am living right now. And you have to be able to believe in that which you cannot see. You have to be able to have faith, take your pathway on faith, and be walking in the beautiful grace that following your heart, following that voice inside of you that is beckoning you to do what is your soul's calling. And it's not always going to be easy. You are oftentimes going against the grain. A lot of individuals are going to come into your space, and because they didn't follow their passion, and they maybe sold themselves out in terms of what they created in their lives, and they're not in a happy place, they may try to bump you off course with logic, with reason, with these are the reasons that this doesn't make sense. But I'm telling you, when you give up on your dreams, when you give up on that magic that is inside of you, a little piece of you dies even more each day. And in contrast, when you buy into your own dreams, when you invest in your own dreams, and you accept that they will come towards you, however big or small they are, and that through that genuine expression of who and what you are, your joy will be augmented. So the energy that you will be bringing to the planet, to your loved ones, to your family, to your friends, to your coworkers, is going to be that much more beautiful, because again, you are filling your cup authentically. You're not going into the distortions or the illusions of the superficial world and looking for these, false idols to essentially give you this identity that is not you. And one of the best ways to recenter yourself and to get back on the path of who and what you are is to return to that individual you were in childhood before, the adult world got a hold of you. And for me, it's really about meditating back to that place where that little girl existed, where she dreamed, where she had these visions of, fantastical expressions of what life was. And then in and of that mind sequence, or in and of that energy, allowing my mind, my consciousness to believe in that which is the stuff that dreams are made of again. And it's kind of that Peter Pan energy. It's kind of that, never grow old, never grow up. But that beautiful, childlike, youthful energy is also that reservoir of passion. See, when we dream, we become more than our current reality. We allow our consciousness to expand past the point that it is now perceiving. And through our dream world and through our beautiful visualizations, we actually construct a new version of self. And through this new, improved, augmented version of self, we get to experience a more and more beautiful manifestation of what life can be. So I'm going to wish you all a very beautiful rest of your weekend, and we'll see you in the next video. In this video, I want to talk about the sacred journey of the soul. So each time we decide to incarnate into physical form, it is the sacred journey in terms of the essence of what we are, inhabiting a body. And we do this to increase the understanding of the nature of what we actually are as a soul, and of course to learn lessons, to have experiences. But what is happening so poignantly in terms of the energy of planet Earth right now is that essentially the pendulum has swung so far off of its point of balance. So for thousands and thousands of years, we've had an imbalance of the masculine polarity. And what I mean by this, obviously, is that the masculine aspect of the human connection, so the divine masculine, the divine feminine, the masculine the masculine energy took on a role whereby it dominated, so it became imbalanced and took a leadership role, but a dominance role over the energy of the feminine polarity.
Drinking warm water before bed resets blood sugar levels and reverses type 2. Thousands of people are apparently regaining control of their blood sugar every night as they sleep.
And by way of this imbalance, it allowed so many of its distortions. Not that the masculine is intrinsically distorted, but when the masculine polarity moves out of balance, and what we have to remember about balance is that there needs to be an equal amount of both masculine and feminine energy in their balanced state to create this equilibrium or this universal divine balance. And in terms of the system of free will, these energies are allowed to fluctuate in their natural rhythms. There is nothing within the universal structure that dictates that balance is obligated. It's through imbalance that we find context, that we find contrast, and we learn, and creation itself is allowed to migrate into different realms of knowing. Now, in terms of this current imbalance that we're seeing, part of the reason why, or a little bit of, I guess, context for you in terms of what's happening in the Great Awakening, in this state of rebalancing, part of what happened when as we are seeing this repowering or reinitiation of the feminine polarity on a global scale. So the energy of the empowered feminine, the divine feminine, coming back onto the stage, we're seeing that pushback in many ways, or the distortions of the masculine polarity also being layered onto the feminine aspects as well. So let me divulge into this a little bit more closely. So part of some of the distortion or some of the imbalance that kind of moved over or migrated into collective consciousness through thousands of years, through this dominance and projection that the masculine had onto the feminine. There was this aspect of, obviously, control, a devaluation or a lack of valuation on the feminine polarity, on the feminine consciousness, and what that feminine energy brings into divine union, as well as a hyperfixation from the masculine polarity with the body itself, and specifically in terms of creation energy or sexual energy. And the problem that we're seeing now is that the feminine aspect will mirror the masculine, okay? And as the masculine requests or has requested this hyperfixation on the body, on bodies, the feminine polarity or that feminine aspect has mimicked that or come full circle with becoming the image of that. So we see, especially in North America, but around the world, this greater and greater, fully exposed feminine energy in this hypersexuality. And really what that is at its core is just a fixation with the body and a disconnection with spirit. Because when we are focused in sort of a totality or in too much of a spectrum of our consciousness on the body, and we are not in touch with our spirit, we're not in touch with our emotional world, we're not in balance. And the focal point, again, is all on the body itself, the five senses, and we're really finding a disconnection in that. And I want to qualify what I mean by disconnection. People are becoming more and more isolated, more and more lonely, more and more disconnected due to the pervasive amount of images of bodies, seeming connection through digital devices, to pornography, to things that, again, are images of the body, or the mind's kind of tumbling down that rabbit hole into elevating the body above the spirit, or completely disconnecting the spiritual aspects of connection, of deep, rich, beautiful connection. And in terms of what this experience provides, it allows us through this aspect of disconnection to have a vantage point of what it is that connection or divine connection truly is. So by experiencing this massive wave of superficiality, essentially the body being this false idol, we have to, in our suffering, in our disconnection, realize that really truly what our soul desires is something far more dynamic and far more all-encompassing than just a body. And I would also offer the example that especially beauty, okay? Beauty is becoming so much a focal point of each and every human in terms of global collective consciousness and this fixation on making the body more and more beautiful. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily wrong, but what it also can highlight to the consciousness is that beauty is the natural state of an aspect of creation, and that all beings are beautiful. And what we are truly looking for, or what we should truly look for, is alignment of energy. So it's more of a feeling and not something that's visual or not something that's so physically tangible, because again, we're seeing examples everywhere of everything that is beautiful. And when we are using our discernment and when we're using our intelligence and our consciousness in order to magnetize towards us or pull towards us what is our divine counterpart or our equalization or piece of energy, we need to start paying more attention not to what is external or what is going on in the external world, but the energy that we feel when we're around other individuals, the aspects of our own energetic being. What do other energies cause within our own dynamic, how their energy brings certain things out of us. And it's this process of a deepening of the understanding of what energy is. And this is what we have come to learn. We have come to understand the non-physical through the vehicle of the physical to expand our hearts, our minds, our bodies, and our souls. And lastly, what I want to wrap this video up with is this reconnection, or what many in the divine collective community are trying to teach, is this reconnection to the sacredness of one's aura, or the sacredness of sharing one's energy. So yes, we are a soul in the container of a body, but that soul, or your soul, is very sacred. And to share your energy, that very beautiful part of yourself, the most intimate part of yourself, with too many others, creates an energetic dissonance. And truly, the most beautiful expression of divine love . Okay, in this video, I want to talk a little bit about aliens, the concept of other life forms, and some of the things that I think human beings often get a little bit confused in terms of this topic. First of all, the term alien always brings up this image of these little green men or these gray, kind of funny alien life forms. And I'm not going to say whether or not different life forms actually look like that or don't. It's not really going to be part of this video. But one thing that I really want to talk about in terms of this specific topic is, first of all, the term alien. We get this really strange kind of image in our heads that whatever is alien to us is going to be, creepy or out to harm us or completely different than humans in, so many different ways, right? And then again, we start to think of it as, or we imagine that aliens would want to do experiments on us or, take us off the planet with their ships. And often I don't think it's much that way at all. I think when other forms of consciousness decide to incarnate on planet Earth, they have to take up a body that is suited for this environment. The other thing to understand is that the universal laws are the universal laws. They aren't really going to change in terms of the way that material craft or what we think of as technology, it's not going to change depending on whether you are a life form from another planet. And I want to just kind of delve into this a little bit more. A lot of whether or not a particular type of consciousness is going to come to planet Earth has more to do with what the planet needs in terms of its learning, where it is in terms of its conceptualization. So in terms of the free will system, what can any and all life forms currently handle in terms of wisdom or the energy of light and love? Because essentially teachers or other worldly beings, they could come here and try to teach humanity something, but if the lower lessons or the fundamentals haven't even been learned, it's not purposeful. And at higher stages of consciousness, the beings don't or are not interested essentially in wasting their time. Now, again, at higher levels of understanding, of wisdom, of existence, time also doesn't act or exist the same way we experience it here on planet Earth in this linear type fashion, okay? And that has a lot to do with, again, the frequency, the particular dimension of that reality, and the level at which the individual's consciousness is calibrated to. So first of all, this question of, would alien life be bringing ships or bringing technology to Earth the way that we understand it? No, absolutely they wouldn't, because it's not possible with the type of technology that we utilize. Now, again, in terms of consciousness, in terms of higher levels of dimensionality, okay, there is the ability to become physical or to manifest oneself into a more physical structure and then de-manifest. So go into the non-physical aspects of consciousness, which is still, when we are residing in the non-physical, our consciousness is very, very much aware. And so understanding that we travel via our conscious thought based on the enactment of our will. When we have purified our aura or what we are, our mind, body, spirit complex enough, this is a possibility that is opened up to any being that, again, is at these higher levels of consciousness. And there are times when light beings, angelic beings, teachers, from other areas of creation will send their consciousness into human form or to planet Earth to help raise the collective consciousness. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There have definitely been times throughout history where the results, again, due to the population not having a deep enough understanding of unconditional love, meaning that the collective consciousness was calibrating in these lower states of awareness, namely fear-based levels of awareness. And when there is a high degree of these low vibrational energies, teaching any lessons often are futile, and really the disturbance of higher beings coming to planet Earth, it will actually oftentimes create more chaos. Again, due to the fact that higher level beings cannot infringe on the free will of human beings, of actually any beings, okay? And what I mean by saying this is that, let's say there is a certain teaching or a certain aspect of wisdom that is given that, because it is understood incorrectly through the lower centers or through a lens of fear, and due to this teaching being given before the collective consciousness is ready, it could potentially cause war, it could cause destruction in terms of attack between peoples. And when this happens, again, that's not the goal of any teacher or any being incarnating on Earth. It tends to create a dynamic where most beings at a higher consciousness have caution. They stay away from the bubble of Earth until there's essentially a tipping point when the acclimation or the integration of new knowledge will not harm or cause destruction. The hearts and minds of the collective human family have to be at a level of openness to be able to integrate or even reintegrate old lessons through the corrected lens, the undistorted lens of unconditional love. And the best way to look at any teaching, any esoteric teaching, any book, any element of wisdom that has been given to people here on planet Earth, the only correct way to question it is, are any, or if we look at any isolated aspect of it, is the story, is the parable, is the teaching unconditional love? Is it teaching protection of all life? Is it teaching sacred principles? And are those elements the message that we are now reading? And if the message that we are now reading is in any way layered with an element of division, an element of attack for others that don't believe or don't, any of these type of elements that have been layered onto these teachings, those have been put there again by human beings. These things are not in alignment with unconditional loving energy. So they're not in alignment with that high vibrational light love element of a very divine or a high level conscious thought. So again, I've jumped around a little bit in this video in terms of talking about other life forms, talking about the purpose of why other life forms would come to planet Earth. But essentially, it's to open your mind to some of these ideas. I don't want to ramble on and on in this video, and I'm a little bit tired, so sometimes I'm a little bit more high energy, and the thoughts come or the words come a little bit easier. But I had a little bit of time tonight and I have not been doing as many videos as I was hoping to do this month. So I wanted to still take the time to, you know, get a little bit of this wisdom and knowledge onto camera before my girlfriends showed up for a wine night tonight. So again, have a beautiful weekend, and I will see you in the next video.